session on the last day. Of course, it's the best. Of course, it's the best time to do a session, I think. And this is the second time it's happened to me. So thank you all for coming. You are the best audience and the quality audience. Or you're not really an audience, you are participants. Yes. Got a few things on your table. We will explain all that as we go along. So, user story mapping for fun or profit. The for fun or profit was just to give it a silly name. And my name is Lynne Johnson, and I started out my career as a fashion model. Kind of a weird way to get from fashion model to here, but through fashion design and then owning a hotel. And oh God, I forgot about the dancing. And then I went back to university and I got a software engineering degree. And then I got into project management. And I discovered this thing called XP, and it just blew my mind. It changed my whole idea about software development. And I just got really into it. And then I discovered Zuka, where I was able to just do Agile development. And then I met Charlotte.
Hi, so I'm Charlotte. The story is going to be a bit less glamorous than Lynne's. So I'm a lead consultant at Zuka, and in the past I've been working notably for the British government as a tech lead, where I notably conducted some story mapping session, and I really found it very interesting to share the concepts with people. So that's why we're here today. And more recently, I joined the GDS development team on a really big project.
So, I have been facilitating story mapping sessions for quite a few years, and I've been chasing this fella, Jeff Patton, around the internet to try to do it better. And all my colleagues who I speak to and we talk to each other about, we do this and we do that, we were all waiting for him to write the book and get it published. And now he's written a book and it's published, and we finally get into the head of the man who coined the phrase story mapping. I was so excited about it, I went running into our boss's office, and I said, it's out, it's here. And he just looked at me so glum. And I said, what's wrong? This is the coolest thing. And he said, yeah, our secret weapon is out. So it is true, I haven't found very many people who know about story mapping. And, but when I read the book, I was struck by this nifty thing that Jeff did to his reader. And he really got a hold of me. And he got me to play this game, getting out of bed and out the door. And I thought it was so cool. And I realized, wow, people really already know how to do this. So I started using this getting out of bed and out the door game at my project story mapping sessions at the very beginning, 10, 15 minutes, that's all it takes. I know we're going to spend some time here today, but actually using this game is very quick and very effective. So I want to show you, we want to show you how to do this today. So I took just the game out to some open space places like Agile coaching in Barcelona, which was on the beach, which was very cool. And this other thing, Play for Agile in Germany. And they helped me develop the game. And so now then I had to add slides and make it important, look important. And I added this slide, and it wasn't until a couple of days ago that I noticed that everything behind Jeff is exactly what we're going through today. So I guess we're on the same page. Now, today, this is what we're going to do today. You are going to create your own journey map of getting out of the door, getting out of bed, and out of the door. And then, people at your table, you're going to merge your maps. And we're going to learn the different aspects of user story mapping, the jargon, and how it all works together. Actually, you're not going to learn it. You're just going to realize that you already know how to do it. We're going to then show how it relates to stories. We're going to split the map. And then we're going to talk about now maps versus later maps. Right, getting out of bed and out the door.
Maybe we could start by trying just as a show of hands who has already heard about story mapping.
Okay, good idea.
Done some story mapping sessions.
Facilitated story mapping sessions. Well, that's a good one. Thank you. So getting out of bed and out the door, it's a bit of a long name. So at these open space conferences that I went to, I asked you to help me name the game. And we came up with story mapping now because this journey map you're doing today exists in the world now. It is something you've already done. You got out of bed and you got out the door to get here today. But what I want you to do today is I want you to think about a typical morning at home where you get out of bed and out the door to go to work. So everybody close your eyes, trust me, close your eyes. And think about a typical day of getting out of bed and out the door. What are all those things that you did, the individual tasks to get out the door? What was the first thing you did? Now, open your eyes, grab a Post-it note and a pen, write it down on a piece of paper, peel it off, and stick it in front of you on the table. This is mine. This is the one I did, and there's this cool app that Post-it has out, by the way, where you can take a picture of it and then move them around. It's very cool. I recommend it. So, my first thing I did was snooze my alarm, and then I did it again, and then I did it again, and I have this app on my phone where I flip it, and it snoozes the alarm, and it also counts how many times I do it, which is a bit embarrassing. But I finally turn it off, I get out of bed, and these are all the tasks I do to get myself out the door. And these are tasks. These are the tasks that make up the goal of getting myself out the door. Now, when you do a story mapping session, we are talking about user tasks. We're not talking about technical tasks. We're not talking about development tasks. It's all about the user. But that doesn't mean that you don't take note of all those technical tasks, because you need to remember them. So also write them down, use a different colored Post-it note, stick them where the tasks, underneath the tasks that are relevant, or have a parking space, because you don't want to forget anything. Because a story mapping session brings such a rich amount of information that you need to know about somebody's life. So, so what I want you to do now is to create your journey map like I've done mine. The next thing you did, put it next to it. Following and on and on and on and on and on. Be as detailed as you like until you get out the door. Charlotte and I will come around today and we'll help you if you need help. Raise your hand if you want to help. And sorry. No, you do your own personal journey. Everybody does their own. Okay, well, how about 10 minutes or how long it will take? Well, not how long it will take. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to merge the map. So you guys have a lot of people on your table. You can have people on this side merge the map and people on that side merge the map. If you have more than 4 or 5 people, it's better to split it because then there's so much to merge. It'll happen quicker with less people. And you will have to compromise. And I also would like you to let me listen. You need to compromise because you're merging maps. And I'd like you to remove duplicates. Don't stack them up, just throw them away. So this is not a merged map, but this is my map. And what I'd like you to do when you're merging, group them together under activities. And so I've grouped mine under these top level activities. And I would like you to use a different color. We'll come around with a different color of Post-it and put those on the top of your map. So like I've organized mine, put your activities first and then the tasks for those activities underneath. Now you might have the compromise The compromise is order, because not everybody does everything exactly the same way. So you're now going to think of a general getting out of bed and out the door map. Okay, so the different colors are for information. When you're doing your product maps, this is like a legend. So you know by looking at these yellow things, those are activities. You look at these pink things, those are tasks. Okay? Everybody start thinking about how you're going to merge it. We'll take a little bit longer this time because this bit takes a bit longer. And have fun. Okay, we've all done our journey map and we've merged them. So now we can do this thing called walking the backbone. Now, the activities of your journey map or your product map make up the backbone of your map. And you can walk the backbone with these 3 little words, and then up. So, I got out of bed, and then I had breakfast, and then I did my morning ablutions. Isn't that a great word? I love ablutions. Getting dressed for work, and then I leave for work. So, the reason we do this walking at the back of the backbone is because sometimes in a product map you can have one from that end of the wall to that end of the wall, and you want to go along the activities to make sure that you haven't forgotten some very high level activity that you want to map in your product. So let's just take half a minute or a minute and everybody walk their backbone. Go. The next aspect of story mapping I'd like to show you that you already know how, is the timeline. So the stuff from the left to the right is the timeline of getting out of bed and out the door. It doesn't necessarily mean that when you do your product map that you have to do everything from left to right. You can pick the bit in the middle and start writing that down and start doing that first. It all depends on your sponsors and users, where they need to start, or where you feel that you need to start. So now we're going to identify personas. Now when I start projects, I lift it off and we probably will do a session that will try to identify the personas in the system. They are your users, the different roles of your users. And a persona you want to identify. So it's a different pathway through the tasks of your maps. So in mine, I have a cat owner. I have a cat, but let's make it impersonal. I'm going to call my cat owner Catherine. She is married. She's a bit of a geek. What about those people who have a dog? That's called Dan the dog owner. Or somebody who has toddlers. Tammy, she's got toddlers. Or what about somebody who has teenagers? Ted has teenagers. And one of his tasks is yelling up the stairs to get the teenager. Of course, like me, he's going to have to do that again because the teenager is going to ignore him, isn't he? So, I want you to identify the personas in your maps. And, like I have, use a different color Post-it to identify, because that's another identifier on there without having to write it down if your personas are in different colors. Now, I've put my cat on, let the cat out on this particular task that persona does that. But you don't necessarily have to do that. Sometimes I just put them up at the top like a legend so that we know that we have these different personas that are going to be using these tasks. So you can do with your personas what you like. So the idea is to get to know your different types of users. Give them a personality. Now, we're not going to do too much of that today, but that's the whole idea of it, and it's why you give them an anonymized name. So you're not talking about a particular person in the company that you're working for. So you're never pointing the finger at somebody that he does this, that does this. Your persona goes here, then does this, then does that. And before this persona can do this or this, that persona has to do this. And you give them names, so you identify them. Okay, find your personas.
Question?
Yes?
Are we just talking about the people who are acting on the timeline, or other people who we interact with, like?
The people on your timeline, not the ones you interact with. That's another type of identifying. Those are not today. For this. Okay, so now you get the idea of personas and how they have their different ways of flowing through your tasks. They may not do every activity on your map, but they certainly will have different ways of going through it. You could have a persona that starts here, like I had to feed the cat somewhere. I don't know why I let the cat out. Oh yes, because I let the cat out, and then I let the cat in. So then that persona would be doing something down there. When I leave for work, there's my cat in the back and boom. Okay. The next thing I'd like to talk about are subtasks. Now, we're not going to do subtasks. We're going to stop our journey map here for now. But all of these things, these pink things on here, and our yellow things will go into a system, or you'll keep it on a board somewhere. But what you'll need to do is, these things are big, like take a shower. So I've broken down take a shower into the stuff that I do, incredibly the same thing every day, in this order. I do lots of things repetitively. Maybe there's something in that. I don't know. So shower, shampoo my hair, soap down my body, rinse my body, condition hair, scrub my face with a face cloth, pumice my feet every single time. Rinse my hair, towel dry, crystal deodorant, and oil my body. So those are all the smaller tasks that make up that big thing, take a shower. And this is what you will do when you take these things away from your story mapping session. You will be able to break them down in smaller sessions with your users to find out the detail of what needs to be done. And then, of course, these things will go into even more detail because you'll have to have criteria and all of that. So now, let's take a break. Not a very long one, because we're going to get back to this. And we're going to talk about stories next. So take a break. I'd like you to tweet your map. And so I just kind of made up this hashtag, user story mapping, and you can put profile profit. And of course, let's advertise Agile on the beach. Their hashtag is there. Mine, Lynne M.G. Johnson, Charlotte. And if you put Jeff's on there, he will probably retweet it. I've done it every single time I put his name up there. Okay, so tweet your map, and let's take about, well, let's start again at 3.
So this is the second part of the story mapping exercise. And before we go back to the map and we start splitting it and trying to see how we can evolve an MVP from it, we thought it would be interesting to discuss a little bit more stories and yeah, because anyway, it's half of the name of the exercise. Yeah, and by the way, that's still if you haven't figured the map yet, it's still on the cool. So first, if we just take a look back at the map we have built, and we look from top to bottom, we'll see that naturally we have disorder that appeared, and that's a pattern that has been developed by some people already, and I don't know who knows about the attitude metaphor that Alistair Coben developed for the use cases. And it has this idea that you have the sea level and everything is going to be arranged above or below it. So here you would have your map, and you have like your tasks that form the ground of your story mapping. And then you can take some attitude and try to write activities, higher level summary tasks. Or you dig into below the surface and you start writing down more breakdown stories that are subtasks. And what is interesting when we do the project is actually you may wish to see your project at different level, to take some high level, as Lynne was mentioning, to walk your backbone and just take the high level story, or actually drill into more details. And here we will use the concept, but what's actually fun is he started coining this term for use cases requirements, the attitude metaphor, and requirement is probably a term that's quite controversial. And here you have Ken Beck, who is with a lot of other people who is saying that, really hitting the term and quoting him, say that's something that's mandatory or obligatory as per the definition, and it has a connotation of absolutism and inhibition for changes. And for him, really, the term requirement means like take this requirement document, just read it, digest it, and don't talk about it. And actually, that's how he started using the word stories. Is really wanted the teams to start sharing information and building this shared knowledge about the product. So I think Lynne was mentioning that with the time the term has evolved, and
well, my clients call the backlog their requirements. So I think the word is now not so strong in the way that Ken Beck was talking about in these quotes. I think it has evolved. It's kind of not stuff that we have to do anymore. We can change our mind, but it's still requirements now.
For controversial.
Yeah.
So we have our maps, and we're writing the title on each of the tasks. But later on, we may want to evolve it a bit, because, for example, the tasks are making sense within the map, because they are under personas or they are next to other tasks. So it totally makes sense that you put shampoo on your hair. But then you take the task out of the map, and then you need probably some more description in it to keep recalling the context. And that's probably a pattern that everybody recognized here. And it was developed in the 90s by XP. So as a certain type of persona, I want to achieve a goal so that I get some benefits. And they really meant it as a pattern. To start the description of your story, you can take different aspects of it. Like you want to take into account the fact that you need to build it for a user, so you want to find out who are your real user. Like you have a cat owner that's going to be different for the person, the parent or something. And if you struggle writing the specific user, so maybe you haven't thought about it enough, or if you struggle writing the benefit part and you struggle to find out what's the benefit of the story, that's probably a good start to start rethinking a bit more.
But Charlotte, you don't have to write as I want, so that every time. It's just a way to get people to start talking about it.
Yeah, that's really just a template. And if we take, for example, and that's one of the cards from Jeff's story mapping book. And he has used just the who, what, why in the description. So that's just a shortened thing. And I know like some teams are really trying to write as I want so that all the time. That's a good template. So yeah, as it evolved and as the discussion evolved, you're going to start writing more and more things on the card and evolving those tasks into stories and adding probably the author and the creator and the size. And that's very nice because those cards allow you to, you have done that when you were merging the map, is you can actually remove duplicates, write a bit more on the cards, or yeah, to get the same concept and to all agree on one side. But as the discussion evolved, you are creating, I mean, as you evolve the map, you're creating more and more information, and then you are going to want some time to store all that information. And that's where the tracking system never appeared on even on Jet's cards. And as all the team are doing for the moment, probably going to go electronic, except some of our early Agile adopters in
some of our colleagues still want us to be on the cards only. I sneak the electronic system in.
So yeah, and you get everything from that you had on the card, so when you evolve it and take it to electronic parts. Plus much more like, of course, the version of Selenium, and integration with other tools. I don't know if I've used it already, but that's one of my favorite on is source control link. So you can really have the status of the specific feature into your from your code. You get the status because you can see if it's merged in master or something. You can even merge. You can even integrate with delivery system and get the status and knowing in which environment the story had this feature has been deployed. For example, if it's in production or something.
That's Jira, isn't it?
Yes, this one is yes, and it's integrated in Stitch, but can you So yeah, and even the electronic system allows us to bring all the attachments and adding all the discussion context to the system. We wrote on vacation photos here because I think it's a very interesting concept. When we actually are building the map and discussing and writing down, we are extending so much information that's actually not part of the map. And it's the same idea on taking a picture when you're on vacation. If you take a picture of a beach, that's a beach for anybody else than you. But if you really look at the picture, you're actually going to recall all the things that happened, how you arrived to the beach and what happened that day and everything. So this idea of vacation picture is very important to sum up the context of the discussion. Like if you tweeted the map, you actually are going to recall, for any other person it's going to be just a map, but you are going to recall with whom you were and the discussion you had and when you put the breakfast before or after the shower, things like that. So that's a very good thing. So yes, that's as most of the team are doing now, is summing up best of both worlds between having a tracking system that allows you to report and share between distributed team, and having like board that are really radiation information that actually give you the whole information at a glance. Like this team, for example, was it's quite nice. They were color coding the different tasks. Like they were using tasks in green, bugs in yellow, or change requests in red. And for the team sitting in front of that board, it really doesn't take long to see that the clients probably changing this might quite a lot, and probably something to do with it. Yes, so we just wanted to share some consideration about stories and look at there are different aspects when you're building it. And Ron Jeffries asked, who knows about the 3C model? Yeah, cool. So the idea, and it sums quite well for building stories, is you need to, so the 3C stands for card, conversation, and confirmation. So the idea is the cards, as you came up with the map, is you have your card or you post it as a placeholder for the information, and then you needed a conversation to actually build this shared product, this shared understanding, this unique map that you would have as a team. And then you would write down some confirmation on acceptance criteria that we use. So it's just really to emphasize that the end goal is not about writing the description, writing the card, is really to share this understanding with the team. as Dave mentioned during his keynote yesterday, we have a tendency to build different models in our heads, so it's always very important to share that and make sure we understand the same thing. So yeah, that's it. Before we go back to the game and splitting the map, if you want to share some thoughts or if you have questions, or just we'll go.
Any questions? Okay, let's move on. So we're going to now play a game within the game, or I call it a game within the game. Sometimes I just stop. You guys have nicely put their mouth on the wall, so I just like that too. Sometimes I stop here. It depends on how far I am in the journey of a product being developed. So at the beginning, when I'm teaching people, I will stop there. If I've come in the middle of a product and they've already got something started, and they need to find their minimum viable product, I will go into this part that we're doing, splitting them up. And okay, so the way we're going to do this is a game within the game, and I've called it the what if game. What if your alarm doesn't go off? Oh my goodness. You wake up, you look at your watch or your phone next to you, 10 minutes to get out the door. Now, there might be those days where it doesn't matter. I can go to work. I'm within the core hours. I can make it up later. But today, you have to get out that door in 10 minutes because you're facilitating that meeting that's happening, and you have to get out the door because you have to have time to get there. So it's your meeting. Close your eyes. Think of all those things that you have to do to get out the door, the absolutely necessary things to get out the door. And all of those things will go above this line that Charlotte and I will come around with some masking tape, and we're going to draw a line along your map. So try to categorize them into that stuff I absolutely have to do to get out the door, the must-haves, and all this stuff that you can do later. These are the things. Okay? Let's split them up. Okay, now everybody split their map. Let's give you some context. So, all the stuff above the map is no longer. I'm sure you had fun deciding which of the things that you're going to do. It's the funnest part of doing this, actually. And everything else. And you can keep, the stuff at the top is now your MVP, your minimum viable product. And it's the stuff that absolutely has to be done, the must-have. So if you use must-have, you know what I mean by must-haves. The stuff below the line is stuff that you can do later. So you can use this to find your MVP like we've done today. And then once you've found your MVP, you can take that and start splitting that as well. You can split that into releases. So you have a release planning session. And then you can take a release and have a sprint planning session. So you can sort of give yourself an idea of what you're going to do. Because it's the best information you have right now, and it'll probably change, but at least you've got an initial plan. And for me, it takes all of the unknown out of my head and my clients. They have an idea of what they can get, but they know they can change their mind. They can do that bit first, or that bit first. Or they can say, oh, I've changed my mind, I've got to put something else above the line. And it's very, very important to be able to visualize it. So when I split my map, the release I'm going to do now, and I'll split it down into sprints, I will put it up on the wall. I never put the whole thing on the wall. I know a lot of companies do that, but for me that's too much information. I only want to look at the bit I'm doing now, and we'll talk about the other bit that we're going to do later. But for us to have a conversation in front of a wall, I will put a release up, and we'll split it into two sprints. And then we might play with it with the product owner. He'll decide, well, the next sprint, I don't think we're going to do this, so he might put it in a different sprint. Or take it off the board because we've decided to do it in a different release. So that's why it's good to keep it up on the wall so that everybody can see your progress. And And sometimes I might, if we start with one sprint, I might put a notification on it that it's done, or it's halfway done, and I'll use a sticker or something to indicate that. The other thing we've done, you've learned without knowing you've learned it, is necessity. Like I said, that's the most important stuff at the top. It's the least important stuff at the bottom. And as you know, some of the stuff at the bottom you may never do anyway. Now, are there any questions about splitting the map? Any questions?
It's a thought and a question kind of joined.
Good.
So this doesn't really focus on alternatives. So we were just talking about essentials for this and brushing teeth we put in there. You don't want to go anywhere without brushing your teeth. But you could chew some toothpaste, right, as an example. It's not as good as a solution, but it's an alternative, quicker solution. And so I don't know if people come across impact the alternative to that. And so that's kind of, that does a similar thing but focuses on alternative ways of achieving the same thing. This so far there seems to be missing that kind of.
It's a different way of using this story mapping. You can use story mapping in a lot of different ways.
So just to comment on that one, I think that so there are alternatives generate tech debt if we look at the technology world, and if we've got product funding,
Yes.
you know, they're paying for something to be done, rather than accumulate tech debt and get it out the door because you need to get hit a date, is to kind of convince them to say, look, you need to optimise what you're building at the same time. So that's my thing.
And that's why these sessions are important to find those things. So if there is an alternative, that thing will probably not be in your MVP. It'll be down here in maybe a next release or something.
Well, I've certainly had discussions in story mapping workshops where we've had it's something like that, like shower, or we could wash a flannel instead, and then we write that on a sticky and put it up in the MVP, so you can have that discussion about alternatives during the prioritizations bit, as it were.
It could be you throw it away. I mean, I know the downside, right? You're doing something you may end up throwing away later if you do the proper implementation. But in a true MVP style, this is actually you're trying to validate assumptions. It might be that actually you don't need to do teeth because you naturally have beautiful smelling breath.
Okay.
It's not a great example I picked here, right? But it may be that you don't need to, you're trying to fulfill a need that actually isn't there, or is a need that someone, it's a need that is.
I find those discussions,
Yeah, they do happen. They do. And yes.
I just wanted to comment on that because I'm working a lot with product owners using user story mapping. And they're, at least the biggest issue that I'm seeing is that they want to put too much stuff in the minimum viable product.
Yes.
So to challenge them that, will the world come to an end if you don't brush your teeth? I mean, are you that close to the person in your workshop that they're going to smell your breath? So there's a way that you can get around that, challenging them that, look, we want to get something out as soon as possible so we get feedback.
That's right.
What can we get out so we can learn something from this? So do you have to brush your teeth? No, you know.
Depends.
You have to get dressed, it depends where you work.
You want to get business again, right? It's not my idea when people practice things.
Those conversations do happen, and story mapping is not easy. This game helps you to, when you get to that product map, you don't have to spend the time explaining them how it works or why you're doing this, because they already, what's that part of the brain that you don't have to think,
Limbic system.
The limbic system, yes. It's already there, and that's what I found so cool when I was reading the book. That's what was so nifty, is that it's already there, and why didn't I think of that already? And it's so in my face, and I didn't even realize it. And it works. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes maximum. It's not a lot of time to take to get that out of the way, because you'll probably spend at least that much time trying to explain everything as you go along. So I encourage everybody to write things down, all those conversations you have. Put it down, put it in a parking lot, stick it with a sticky, and because you don't want to miss anything. So Charlotte, what have we learned?
So yeah, I was writing down the concept that we have gone through when we were building the map. And just to recall, we started by writing our tasks, then we went to merge them together and to try to find out some high-level activities that sum up the tasks that are below. Lynne mentioned the backbone, then because those high-level tasks actually let you create a high-level view of your project and create the backbone of your.
Walking the background
Yes.
so you don't forget anything.
We mentioned quickly the timeline because the stories are arranged into a timely manner, but that doesn't have to be. And it also means that you don't have to start with the story on the left. We grouped as personas, so we saw different ways of reading the map. And we also mentioned that you can also drill down even more, and through the story mapping session, write on some more subtasks.
Then we split them out. Didn't we?
Yes, and then that helps you divide your MVP, and then maybe reorganize for later release planning.
Okay, so the next bit, I'd like to talk about what we do. We change the world every day for our customers, our users, our stakeholders. That's what we're in the business of doing, is changing the world. And in this world, and story mapping of the world, we have now maps, and we have maps in the world later. The one you did today is a now map. That's how we came up with this name, story mapping now, because it already exists in the world. In the world now is all of these people with all of these ideas, but they all have a different idea of the idea. So they have a product and features, and they're thinking about this, and then they decide they need a bunch of us to create this thing that they want for something later in the world. And they hire us to do these iterations, and each iteration, of course, has an output. And there's always way too much to do in every product that I have ever done. Don't you agree? Always too much to do. So everything in the later world, the outcome and the impact, you want to make the best of it. And story mapping helps you do that. Because it helps you, animation does not work. That work is. You want to minimize the output, and story mapping helps you do that. It helps you choose the stuff that is the highest priority to be done. The stuff that's the MVP, or the stuff that you can leave later. Because you want to maximize all of this. You want to maximize the outcome, so you're building the right thing, and you want to maximize this, the impact, and you want to make them happy. So the game can also be used to, you see, you've done a now map today, and the game can also be used to do, perhaps, if you're doing a greenfield product, and you're going to reproduce something that already exists in the world. And it's their processes that you need to map out. You need to find out who are the personas in that process. So you will do a now map to figure out what they want, so that you can help them build something that belongs in the later world. So here he is. There's our man. Thank you very much, Jeff, for doing this. The secret's out, and it's the best book that I have read, as far as any Agile book I've ever read. I don't get any money for saying this or anything. I just am so happy he's finally written a book. And I'm really happy that he took a hold of me in that book, and he did that nifty thing of showing me this silly game. So, any questions? Good. That means I've done my job. Oh,
Yeah, there you go. What you were discussing there was really good for a new product. What about when you've got an existing product with kind of features and whatnot, and you're trying to build new features, and you've got competing requirements from people who are trying to shoehorn stuff in?
Yes.
What's the best way of
This
handling
is
that?
a really good question, because sometimes I'll go into a client and it'll be in the middle of them developing something. They've got a huge amount of stuff in their backlog, and it's like they're never going to get it done. They haven't been able to organize it. You're right, there's competing people that want this, that, and the other. And the first thing I will do is get them all in a room and have a conversation about the system that they're building. And I will get them to create that big, long map of the system as it exists now. And it gets their head around where they are with it. And then I get them to split it. This is one of the instances that I will go beyond that first section that I showed you, that we all did with our journey map. I will split it. And then they will decide what goes above the line. They will have a conversation with the developers, with the users. You need to get the right people in the room to be able to do this. This is how powerful story mapping is. I may actually go in and do nothing for a while. I will help them prioritize, and I will observe. I will see how they're working, and then at one, maybe a few sprints in, I will do this story mapping session so that they can have a big picture visualization of the existing system.
So do you kind of hold off the new features? You map out the existing ones first, or do you do the new stuff at the same time?
They decide. You don't have to do anything, actually. You just need to give them the tools to be able to do it.
Okay.
They make the it's amazing the conversations that they have, especially when you get the developers in there with all the users and the stakeholders. They all of a sudden will say, wow, really? You do that? And I didn't know that. Or a developer will say something, well, that's a bit technically something we can't do, but what about this? They have a conversation about it. And they end up with a shared knowledge of what they want.
What have you found the hardest part of getting clients to do the story mapping? What bits do you always seem to get stuck with?
The hardest bit is actually to get them to pick up a pen and write something on it. I'm usually the one following them around, putting everything down on the table like this. But I try to encourage people when they say something to me, write it down. And but sometimes I'm not successful at that either. What about you? What do you find?
I like that one. I experienced that one with people not writing down. And one thing I sometimes do is like force people to do it silently,
Yeah.
so that they only have
Yeah, that's a good idea.
they can't. If you want to communicate, you have to write it down. I think that I can't remember if it was you or not, that thing of people trying to put too much into the initial release, and what I sometimes do with that is like do the initial release, and then they do the MVP, as it were, what I think is MVP, and then you draw another bit of tape across the top and say, how little of that?
Yeah, that's
Sometimes
good. I like it.
There's often then kind of, oh yeah, we don't really need that, and oh, we could do, instead of building that, we could do this tiny thing instead,
That's good.
until that gets to something sane and working.
That's very good. I'm going to remember that.
On the one with backlogs, like just as an example of what you were saying, like I had a very similar to a client with big backlogs, and it was really interesting because once they started, they literally just copied their backlogs onto Post-its and started turning that into a story map. And without me intervening at all, there was this big pile of like Post-its over here that were kind of, well, we're not really sure why we're doing that. They don't fit in with our customer flows as well. They're just like feature requests that come in at random from customer support calls and stuff. And as soon as they had the context of a customer journeys to talk about, it was very, very easy for them to start prioritizing some stuff that used to, there was about they had about 500 stories and about 150 just disappeared in the first session because they were just noise.
So when I do that kind of session where something already exists, this particular client, the Scrum Master came up to me and said, would you like me to bring up the backlog so we can start writing these things down? No. Let's just, do this session and see how we go. I don't think we need that right now. And then, you know what? They never looked at it again. They used that story mapping session and started a new a product in Jira and used this big map that they went through, because all that noise that they put in this big long system was out the window. The one they've just done is better.
So from a slightly different angle and not directly related to story mapping, but a few times I've got into clients and at some points that seemed appropriate recommended that they dumped all of their stories and started again to see what turned up, and it's amazing how good that sweeping list, sweeping the decks clear is
We do that a lot, but I never go in and tell people what to do. I kind of say, I suggest things. I don't say, dump all that. That's all wrong. Actually, our boss would do that. But I would not do that because I want them to make up their mind. And they looked back at it and said, that makes no sense. This does. Okay, that's us. Tweet your split map. I've also put Zulka up here. We have an office in London, we have an office in Manchester. And I don't know if you're interested, spread the word. We're always looking for talent if you work in London. And I think I speak for both of us. Thank you very much for coming. It's fun.